Hey, welcome to another Elden Ring video. As you can see from the title, this one's all going to be about faith. We're going to start by describing what a faith build is, and then move on to the items you're going to need to collect. Let's get into it. So before we talk about everything you need to grab and what's the best items for faith, let's actually talk about what makes up a faith build. And to do that, we're going to be talking about the stats. The first one is going to be Vigor. Vigor's your health. At least always get that to 40. 60 is preferable. It just depends on the stat points you have, though. With Mind, if you're not a pure caster, base Mind is going to be okay. I'm using Prophet as my starting class. That's what I recommend for your faith build. Endurance should always be knocked up a couple points, but if you're not running really heavy weapons and armor, it can be left pretty low. Strength and Dexterity just depends on your build. Make sure you always have enough points to use your weapons properly, and then just keep adding on if you're using like a pure Strength or a pure Dex build. Intelligence and Arcane wasn't really given any love this year, so I'd recommend staying away from that, as Faith and Intelligence split builds or Faith and Arcane split builds really aren't that good. Of course, for Faith, if you're running some sort of like Faith and Strength or Faith and Qual, um, max is probably going to be 50 faith, but if you're running a pure faith build, you can totally knock it up all the way to 80. This only really applies if you're SL 125 or SL 150. If you're really high SL, you can do what you want. And honestly, if you're that far ahead, I don't even know why you're listening to this. Either way, let's move on to the buffs you can use with a faith build. We're going to be using Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, Black Flame's Protection, and Dragon Bolt's Blessing. So I'm also going to be using the Holy and the Flame Crack tier. The Lightning Crack tier is also good for this, as those are the damage types you do as a Faith build. But when all these buffs combined, if you look at my weapon right now, it does 763 damage, okay? This is a fire and physical base weapon. Then, when you add Golden Vow onto it, you can see it go up to 878, and my damage negation goes up a little bit too. Then you have Flame Grant Me Strength, and it goes to a staggering 1054. But we can go even higher than that. With the Wonders Physic, it can boost all the way up to 1136. This is a curved greatsword. That is going to be doing crazy damage. Now, if you add Black Flame Protection onto this is going to overwrite Flame Grant Me Strength. But if you look in the right, it's going to boost your defense, your damage negation, all the way up to 53%. You're taking half as much damage from a normal strike. Now, Dragon Bolt's Blessing is a little special. As you can see in this clip, any one-handed weapon bounces off when it hits. So you can just keep this on and use it in case anyone's using like curved swords in both hands, and then equip it when they come for it. One thing about these buffs is that they actually Flame Grant Me Strength, Black Flame's Protection, and Dragon Bolt's Blessing are body buffs, so that means that they're not going to stack with each other. Now we can get into the actual weapons. We're going to start off with the strength ones. This is my personal favorite weapon, Magmorum Scale Sword. It is really good damage, can be buffed the most as it does have fire, which boosts more with Flame Grant Strength. And the Ash of War always catches people out with that second swipe after. The next weapon we're going to be talking about is Marcus Hammers. I have two, completely and utterly unnecessary. You only really need one, as its main benefit is the huge Ash of War damage. Throw a sealant on your left hand and then just spam the Ash of War on your right to get some damage. Next is Silria's Tree. This Ash of War, it does do a lot of damage, but it's really hard to hit. The main benefit that comes from this is being a Great Spear. It gets a really good moveset. You can just hit people with it, and then if you ever do get the very lucky chance to land the Ash of War, you might just kill them straight out. Especially like leave them one tap, because if you watch, that does a lot of damage. Now, our last strength weapon is going to be tied for my favorite, probably, faith weapon. It's Malekith's Black Blade. As a colossal sword, it gets this really nice poke after a dodge roll or a crouch. And then the Ash of War, if you do hit it, does give a nice like HP draining and HP reduction status effect, and can provide a really good barrier if you need people to back away. As a colossal sword, it's going to do a lot of damage no matter what, especially with those jumping heavies, and yeah, if someone's wrong next to you, you can catch them in with this. Now our next set of weapons are going to be dexterity weapons. We're starting with the Halo Scythe and the Wing Scythe. This is two different weapons. You can match them together for the Scythe moveset, and you get a ranged weapon and then a close-up Ash of War. As you can see, the two Scythes get a really cool moveset. It's like delayed attacks, which can catch a lot of enemies, and general sweeping attacks do good. Now, if you actually land that weapon skill with the wing scythe, that will stop people from healing, but if you're in an honorable duel, it's not going to matter. But let's be honest, you're probably not in an honorable duel. Our other dexterity weapon is Vike's War Spear, again as a spear. You know, not even a great spear, just a normal spear. It gets a good moveset. It also really shines with his Ash of War. As you see, it jumps, has good tracking, and leaves flames, which, you know, provides you with a little bit of space. Again, this is just another good one-handed weapon that you can just close the gap as you're casting spells. You know, someone's rushing in, and as you see, it does a lot of damage. Also, if you're for some reason running a madness build, even after all the patches, I mean, this is going to give you some of that magic status, madness status effect. Speaking of madness, but now we're going to get into our pure faith weapon. This is the only one I really suggest. It's a coated sword because it scales specifically with faith. I mean, that'll give you some damage, nothing crazy because it is a straight sword, but you know, it works very well with the seal, and your spells are going to be doing a lot of damage as a pure faith build. It has a cool weapon skill because it does give it a lot of range. A straight sword doesn't have a bad move set. And what I normally look for when I'm using a seal in the other hand is something with range or something to close a distance, something that gives me an attack to do as they're trying to run up and make it where I can't use my long range spells on them. Which this, as you can see, does good damage and has really good space. Now we're going to be talking about the quality weapons. We're starting off with a beast called Great Hammer. Surprisingly, for a Great Hammer, it has a really quick moveset, and it still does keep some decent damage. The weapon skill is, it gives you some range, just a slam down, which you can hit for damage, and then the actual projectiles that come off do damage off of it. You get really good poise during this, which I find can be really, you know, nice for trading. If you get someone come in, maybe doing like a jump heavy or something, and you really think you can take the damage and finish them off, it can be a pretty good move. But I mean, as a big weapon, any jump heavy is going to be doing a lot of damage to them too. But like, as you can see, it's just a all around good weapon. I mean, look, that's even the spell that you're getting on your weapon. I mean, and boom. See, it even has decent tracking on top of it, so that's a recommended weapon. The other quality weapon that's pretty good is going to be the Clean Rock Spears. Now, one of the reasons this is actually good is because it's a spear, yeah. And these spears going to get a good moveset, and the fact that it scales with faith just helps. It also has a decent Ash of War, because, you know, even if you can't hit the weapon skill, you're going to be making some space for yourself. And with spear, if they're getting close up on you, you need to create some space because you do have the range advantage weapon-wise, because you can attack from a farther distance. You can create some space and then get them to come to you, and you can hit them from there. Now we can actually start talking about the spells. So this first one's Elden Stars. You do need 50 faith for this, but I love starting off a match with it, as you know, it distracts them and it makes them have to try to dodge something while dodging you attacking on top. Then you also see Bestial Sling there. That is really good chip damage, and then Horn Bolt you can spam to finish it off. Now we have Catch Flame that we're going to be using. This is, you can boost with fire damage, as it is fire. You know, if you see something with fire or something with lightning, you can boost it, right? I mean, with the Wondrous Physic. This is also aspects of the Crucible Tail, which is specifically good because you get, like, once you start this animation, you get, like, crazy poise off, and then you can bait people out with a second attack. Now, this is another good Crucible aspect of the Crucible Breath. The reason this one's good is if someone's running towards you and you get it off, you can actually stun lock them. So as they try to panic roll, you're just doing more and more damage. You might even be able to kill them with one breath of this. Now we're using Pest Threads. It's just good long range damage. I mean, quick animation. You really don't have like the Glintstone Pebble of Faith. and this is the closest thing you can get to it. I mean, especially after they nerfed the spell the spell combos. Also, Black Blade's really good. It does a damage over time thing and HP reduction. As you can see, Pest Threads is just really good for that. Chip damage or finishing off an enemy, like right here. Now, these next two lightning spells are really cool looking. Our first one's Forest Axe Lightning Spear. One of the reasons this is good is you get like poise throughout it, so if someone thinks they can trade with you, you'll probably end up doing more damage. I mean, it does also get 2 hits, which, so if they dodge one, like here, they might get hit by the second one, and it has a little bit of AoE surrounding damage in case they dodge outwards. The other one's going to be Death Lightning. This actually trades range for damage, as you can see right here, as it does significantly more damage, but it's way smaller. Now, the actual seals you're used for these spells, for Pure Faith, Erdtree Seal, this is going to get you the most damage out of any other seals. But if you're like Quality or you're specifically a Strength build, it's going to be Clawmark Seal. So it also boosts Bestial Incantations, which is a little added buff on top of it. So, Talismans. Shard of Alexander boosts your weapon skill damage, that's necessary. Erdtree's Favor, if you want the extra stat bonuses, or Great Char Arsenal if you need to wear heavy equipment. Ragon's Icon can boost up your spellcasting time, and then the 2 Canvas Talismans are really helpful because they actually stack together to make your spells be more potent, to make them do more damage together. Now moving on to Armor. Armor is a bit of a weird subject in this game, as it actually matters surprisingly less than you would think. I mean, you have your armor sets like the Ruler's Mask that makes your face stat go up. I mean, even the Haligtree's Night Helm, it makes your faith go up by 2, which is something rarely seen in this game. But even then, it's still not that important. I mean, the Veteran's Helm and the Bull Goat's Helm do get you a lot of poise. I mean, I can see poise being something effective. Or maybe how the Crucible Tree's Helm or the Crucible armor sets, even the headpiece, chest piece, leg piece, waist piece, they all boost your Crucible incantations, like the breath spell, the tail spell. I mean, if you just want to look cool, like using Malekith armor or the Clean Rot armor, just whatever you want or whatever fits your build, it really isn't that important. Like, we can even move on to the chest plates, and it's going to go about the same. I mean, the Crucible armor that's boosting it, the Bull Goats and the Veterans that has the best poise for their weight. I mean, really, anything you mix and match is going to work well. And, I mean, you can look at the damage negation. I mean, the heavier armor you wear is going to be the less damage you take, of course. So if you really want to make like a tanky build, go for the lower stuff. I've always personally liked poise more than actual damage negation, as trading's a very big part of my playstyle. But that's just for me, as my favorite type of weapon is strength. Um, but even the gauntlets is the same thing. I mean, if you look, the Crucible gauntlets, they're going to boost the damage of the spells. Bull Goats and Veterans is the same for poise. And then once you get there, it's just mix and match in your pieces for what you have the equip load for. I really do think it's cool though with the Crucible set, how every piece, even the Greaves, is boosting the stat, because that also gives you a really cool cosplay vibe if you add them all together, for a Crucible Knight. Now, the quest lines you want to do the Bestial Cloakman, because that's going to net you a weapon and some spells, and the really necessary seal for the strength builds. Do Millicent's quest line, so you can get the Talismans, and you also get the Pest Threads, which is a good spell. Do Fia's quest line, as that's going to net you the Dragon Death Lightning spell, which has a cool one, and it's just a general good quest line to do, and it will give you an ending, which is cool. Also, do the Alexander quest line for the Shard of Alexander for the weapon damage. Well, guys, you made it through another Elden Ring video. I really appreciate y'all for watching. I mean, I am a new channel. I am still trying to figure out what I want to do. So if you don't mind, could you please like, subscribe, maybe make a comment. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. I mean, honestly, I really do appreciate the feedback. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys.